So let me ask you a question. Can you answer this in 1 minute? And once you figure out your answer, and if time is still in existence, well, it exists. But if someone's time is still on the clock, just hold your answers until the end. One of the reasons why I do that is one, to give people a chance. You know, everyone's coming on at different times. But I want you to try to solve this. And now we have roughly 25 seconds left. Okay? Do you see your answer? Okay, so hold your answers to the end. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming on in. Can you solve this? All right. So if you have your answers, go ahead and just put the letter. Is it A, 110? Is it B, 165? Is it C, 137 and 5/10 of a mile? Or is it D, 142 and 5/10 of a mile? Okay, so Andrew, thank you. I see you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Okay, Michelle, you're saying C. I see you. All right. Oh, hey, John. See you in there, sneaking in. Okay. And if you're not sure, you can put a question mark in the comments. You're like, I don't even know where to start. Oh, I hated these word problems. And here's the thing. If you're taking the ASVAB or the GED or any high school equivalency test, the ASVAB loves these type of problems. Okay? GED, yeah, you'll see a couple of those, as well as some of the age problems, like if Susan is twice as old as Mary and Mary is 3 times as old as John, how old is Susan? You're like, who is Susan? So those type of problems. Now, as we're breaking those down, okay, Lala, was that Lala? Well, Leilana. Leilana, thank you so much. All right, so let's take a look. So anytime we're talking about average of, and they give you your miles per hour, or if they give you time and then they say how far, this is going to be one of those distance, rate, and time type word problems. Your distance is at the top, your rate or your speed, and then your time. Now, since we're looking for how far, that's telling me we're looking for the distance. So sometimes we got information and we don't know, are we multiplying or are we dividing? So if I cover up the D, what's left is the R and the T. So RT means R times T. So now we need to figure out which one's going to be our rate and which one's going to be our time. Anytime they say the average of, and they give you some numbers after it, miles per hour, okay, minutes per, I don't know, journey, whatever. If they have a comparison, that's going to be your rate, your R. So that means we're going to have our 55, and we need to know for our time. Well, our time has to be written in hours, because if we're talking about 55 miles per hour, that means everything needs to be written in hours. But this is where a lot of people make the mistake. They see the 2 hours, but they forget to incorporate the 30 minutes. Now, 30 minutes is equivalent to a half an hour. And how else can we say half? We could say 0.5. So that means we're multiplying 55 with 2.5 to get our answer. So that's how we're going to be able to find our mileage. There you go, Mr. Nobody. I see you. So, since especially Accuplacer and the ASVAB, you cannot use a calculator. So let's work on multiplying with the decimal. Okay, let me raise this up and let me kind of zoom in a bit. Alright, so we always start in the ones place. So 5 times 5 gives me 25. So I bring down my 5, carry the plus 2. 5 times 5 gives me 25 again, but plus 2 will give me 27. Okay. Now we're going to the 10 spot. So we have our 2. So we go 2 times 5, that gives me 10. We're not putting the 0 under the 5. We're putting it under the 7 because that's our 10 spot. And then, instead of a plus 1, plus 2 is going to be a plus 1. Now 2 times 5, that gives me 10 again, plus the 1 that was carried over gives me 11. And since we're multiplying, we're making things grow, that's why we're adding. So we have our 5, we have our 7, 2 and 1 is 3, bring down our 1. Now when you're multiplying decimals, you need to count how many decimal places your original numbers were. So 55, they didn't have any zeros, no decimal places. But for the 2.5, that's 1 decimal place. So when you add those two up, your answer should have 1 decimal place. So that means starting all the way before the 1 spot, we're moving their decimal over 1 space. So that's how you would get 137 and 5 tenths of a mile. Answer would be C. Okay. All right. So Sister Mary Eunice, 1. You're coming in a little bit later. You're not expected, and you can't hate math. All right? You don't hate math. You just hate the fact that you feel like, I don't understand it. Well, if you saw from the very beginning, and we're breaking it down step by step, it might be a little easier. Okay? All right? So the reason why we were doing all this is because anytime they give you a distance, rate, and time, all right, so they tell you your average, that's going to be your rate. Then they give you your time. So 2 hours and 30 minutes. A lot of people ignore the 30 minutes or round up to 3. Okay? If you want to round up to 3, that means you're going to have to do some guesstimating of what is going to be answer choice. But I like to use this symbol of the distance, rate, and time triangle. So since we're saying how far, we're looking for the distance. So if I cover up the D, what's left? The R times T. So my rate is that 55. My time is 2 hours and 30 minutes, which is equivalent, we have to put it in terms of hours because we're talking about miles per hour. So that's why we have 30 minutes is equivalent to a half an hour. How do we represent half as a decimal? 0.5. So that's why we're multiplying 55 times 2.5. Okay? All right? So if you divide what? Ratchets. Okay. All right. So now we have those two numbers. We're going to multiply. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is you need to practice the way you're going to test. If you're thinking about taking the ASVAB, you can't use a calculator. Okay? If you're thinking about taking the Accuplacer to figure out what placement of math you're going to take at a local community college, you can't use a calculator. Okay? The GED, they'll be able to pop out a calculator with certain problems. Okay? But you need to practice the way you're going to test. Okay? So, let's try this one. Can you solve this in 1 minute? Yes, it is. So my focus is especially for people that are 25 and older that's thinking about going back to school. Some people that have trouble with algebra. Okay, those are my main focus. Okay, all right. So mostly adults. Yep. People are taking the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, TEAS test, HESI test, anything that has algebra in it. I tried to come here, ease what's called that math phobia, okay, and just help people to feel successful in math so they can go after their test so they can improve on their lives. Okay? Yes, I am. I'm not a retired teacher. I left. I left because I had to have me first. All right. Go ahead. Let's see some of these answers. What we got? So T, yeah, I left. 22 years in there. All right, so T, I see your answer. Thank you so much. Anthony, I see your answer. Thank you so much. Thinking about going back to school. All right, and see, there you go, Sister Mary. And now hopefully we'll be able to kind of ease our minds a little bit and just try to tackle it together, okay? All right, so there's no shame in your game for not completing it where everyone says you should complete it. Because nowadays, there's some kids that earn their degrees, and there's a lot of kids they're just passing on through. And then when they're trying to achieve something, then they realize, wait, I don't know this stuff. And I hate when professor says, you should know this. You don't know their situations. All right, so Bright, I see you. Coffee Braids, I see you. Oh, there we go. All right, Diego, I see you. Keep change flip. Yes, HB, there you go. Bobby Sabi, okay, I see you. All right, there you go. No problem, sister. Hey, trust me, I hear it all the time. All right, so let's see if we could tackle this one. And I know for a fact a lot of us do not like fractions. But guys, fractions are just numbers. Okay? You're just looking at part over the whole. So when you're doing division, you don't want to have it stacked up like a double decker, right? It looks too crazy. So when you do this, you want to do, as someone mentioned, keep, change, flip. So keep, change, flips happens basically twice. It happens when you're dividing fractions as well as when you're dividing polynomials. Okay? The keep, change, flip always happens. Or really subtracting polynomials. So what I mean by keep, change, flip is we're going to keep our first ratio. We're going to change to its inverse. So the inverse of division is multiplication. Okay, we're going to try not to use the x for multiplication because when you're in algebra, x is basically represented by an unknown number. Now you're going to flip, meaning the numerator is now coming down to the denominator, and the denominator is now becoming the numerator. Okay, so what we do here, you can do one of two ways. You could multiply horizontally and then simplify. Now, test times, let me show you something. Sorry. We have what's called cross simplify, not cross cancel. Okay, cross simplifying. So it's another way of saying, all right, what number does 3 and 18 have in common? What number does 3 and 18 have in common? Yes, YRN, I see you. Or Young Orange. Okay. 3. So if I reduced or divide each of those terms by 3, I'll have, as what Young Orange said, 3 divided by 3, that cancels to give me a 1. 18 divided by 3, that cancels to give me a 6. Now we're dealing with more manageable numbers. Then you also look to see the other. Some people or some schools call these the butterfly wings. Okay? Everyone calls it different. But what you're doing is cross simplifying. Okay? Not cross multiplying. So 4 and 16. What does 4 and 16 have in common? Okay? Lay, I got you. So what they have in common is 4. They're both seen in the 4 times table. So 4 divided by 4, that cancels to give us 1. Okay, that gives us 1. 16 divided by 4, that gives us 4. Because 4 times 4 gives us the 16. Now, let's clean this up. You have 1 times 1 in your numerator, and you have 4 times 6 in your denominator. Okay, remember we were multiplying those two ratios. So now, let's multiply. 1 times 1 gives us 1, and 4 times 6 gives us 24. Your answer is 1/24. Okay, 1/24. Okay, even if you tried to reduce that 4 and 6 by 2's, you would have gotten a 2 here and an 8 there, and then you would have to reduce it again by 2's because 2 and 8 have 2 in common. So you can still do that. It's just going to take a little extra time. Okay? Alright? So this is called cross simplify. It's only called cross multiply when there's an equal sign in between the two ratios. We're looking at the equivalency of those ratios. Alright, thanks so much for the follows, guys. Alright, so let's try this one. Can you do this in a minute? So if you have your answer, hold your answer until the end of time. If you're not sure where to begin, then you're going to put a question mark when the time expires. Okay, hold your answer to the end. Okay. Okay. Okay, hold your answers until the end. Okay. Alright, go ahead and put your answers up. 1W. Okay. Okay, Moto with the question mark. Thank you for your honesty. Lee, I see you. With the 4, then the 12. Okay. Who's this with the question? Okay, I got that. Diego, I saw you. KP, I see you. Thank you so much for your honesty. BMO, thank you so much for your honesty. Alright, TP, I see you. Okay, beautiful roses, I see you. Alright, coffee braids, I see you. BSN, I see you. Thank you for your honesty. Okay, then we have Zoe, I see you. User Ruyu or Ruhe, I see you. Hey, Nitum, welcome back. Okay, Jim, I see you. Thank you. Leo, I see you. My Squared, I see you. And is that Duns? You're not Duns. I see you as well. And JL, I see you. Alright, let's see how we can tackle this one. So we have a right triangle because of my right symbol, not because of my lack of straight lines. We have a leg, and we have anything across from our 90-degree angle, that's going to be our hypotenuse, our longest side. So they're asking us to say, what is the area of the triangle? Well, the area of a triangle, the formula for that, is your base times your height divided by 2. Or some of us know it as 1/2 base times height. Same difference, okay? So they gave us our base, which is 9. And we need to multiply by the height, which is not 15. 15 is not my height. My height always goes, think about it, if you're standing up, straight up and down, your height is this missing side. Then we can divide by 2. But we need to find that missing side before we can do anything. And a lot of students, they use, oh, they gave us 2 numbers, so that's why I'm going to multiply together. But we have to take a look at what's happening. So we're not doing anything with that 15. Nope. Okay? We need our height. So actually, we're going to use it by using the Pythagorean's theorem. Remember that? So Pythagorean's theorem is our a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this is what we're using the 15 for. So your A and your B are the legs of the right triangle. It doesn't matter which one's A and which one's B. Doesn't even matter, okay? So if you want to make this, and then this will be my unknown. I'm going to make this into an X. And then we have our 15 squared to represent the hypotenuse. There we go. So 9 squared, that gives us 81, not 18. Okay, 9 squared is the same as saying 9 times 9. 9 times 9 gives me 81. Then we have our 15 squared. So 15 squared, that's 225. Okay? So because 15 times 15, that'll give us 225. Now, we need to isolate this x squared. So in order for us to do that, we have to subtract our 81. Okay. So now we have our x squared is going to be equal to our 146. Okay. Nope. 144. Sorry. Because this is a trapersal Pythagorean triple. So in order for me to get my x squared out of the way, I have to do the inverse of a square, which is not a circle. Okay? It is a square root. Okay? So squares and square roots are inverses of each other, just like addition and subtraction are inverses of each other, and the same with multiplying and dividing. So now you're going to have your x. So the square root of 144, that's a perfect square. And I know when we're solving, we're usually talking about plus or minus 12. But since we're talking about length, we can't have a negative length. So that's why we focus on, when we do Pythagorean theorem, we focus on the positive, okay? Because some people are like, well, when we solve it the other way, my teacher does plus minus. True, but we can't have minus length, okay? So that's why we focus on the 12. So we just found our height, which is going to be that 12 centimeters. Now we can finish this off. Here's my 12 for the height. And what you could do, you could multiply the 9 and the 2, then divide by 2. Or we can simplify. I got this 12 and I got this 2. 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. Yep, you can do that. This is a 1. That's a 6. So now 9 times 6, because that's what's happening, is giving you your 54. And remember, anything over 1 is exactly itself. Okay? So that means you have 54 squared centimeters. Anytime you're looking for area, okay, anytime you're looking for area, your units is always going to be squared. There you go. Okay, what's the 108, Brenda? Okay. All right. No? Okay. So you can do 108 divided by 2. Yes, you can do that. Or you can simplify. Okay. All right. Don't forget. Yeah, don't forget the units. It's too early for math? No, it isn't. I've been up since 5 o'clock. All right. So not to be, all right, I'll be cheeky. I don't care. How do you know it's early without math? What's early and what's late? How'd you know? All right, so let's go. Can you do this in 1 minute? Got 2 more. This one, this one. No, this is not calculus. Okay. Hello, Angela. How are you? Okay. I just come on here to help people 25 and older to regain their confidence in math. Some people are doing it to help their grandkids or their kids for the upcoming school year. Some people are doing it to get ready for their GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, TEAS test, HESI test, any kind of test that deals with algebra, because they haven't seen it for a while. And I tried to take it step by step because I know how some people just seeing math makes them anxious. Okay? So yeah, there's going to be some people that are getting the answers so quick and they're like, oh, how come I'm not getting it? That's them. They're here for the entertainment. I'm here for the people that struggle. Okay? All right. So, go ahead and put your answers up. All right, so I see a good handful of people. Let's see. I like to give people their moments. All right, so JL, I saw you. Arch, I see you. Okay, LGB, I see you. All right. Yep. Yes, Leo, I see you. Okay, Ash, I see you. Math, I see you. Static, I see you. Angel, I see you. Kate, I see you. Queen Bee, thank you. The Somerset, I see you. Is that Nightmares? I see you. Okay, Reaps, I see you. Or Reps. Alright, Angela. Thule. Okay, Falling. Okay, no problem. Apparently I can't shut off a timer. Patience, I see you. Lee, I see you. Angela, Glizzy, I see you. Patrick, John, KP, thank you for your honesty. Okay, Alluring, there's something missing. Okay, so let's take a look. Alright, let's take a look. So, how can we break this down? Okay, how can we break this down? So, we're saying 45 is what percent of 150? Alright, so the way that I translate this, 45 is means equals. What percent, okay, so I don't know what it is, so I'm going to use X. but I remember x, and I know I'm going to have to find the percentage of it. Of means multiplication, 150. Okay. I need to get x by itself. And since this is multiplication, I need to do the inverse so I can get the x by itself, which is division. So 150 divided by 150 will give me my 1x, or just x. But now I have 45 being divided by 150. So I could think of what number does 45 and 150 have in common if I wanted to reduce this. Okay? So I know most people will probably say like 5, maybe even 15, okay? Because I think 15 might actually work best for us. Reason why, I like to deal with smaller numbers. 45 divided by 15, that gives me 3. And 150 divided by 15, that gives me 10. So now we have 3/10. So 3/10, if I translate it as a decimal, will give me 0.3. But we're looking for the percent. So in order for me to change from a decimal to a percent, I need to move this decimal place over 2 times to the right. So that gives me 3. And what happens here, I need that placeholder, which is a 0, which gives me 30%. Okay? Right? Yep. So that gives me like 30%. Another way of it, if we need to have the long division, let me flip this paper over for a second. So if we need to do it with the long division, remember, 45 is going underneath, the 150 is staying out. Well, we know 150 can't go into 45. That's not going to work. So that's why we put our decimal. So we have a 0 here. We put our decimal. And then how many times 150 will go into 450? It will be 3. Exactly 450. Subtracting, you have 0. So once you see that 0.3, again, you can move the decimal place over 2 places, or, like JL mentioned, you can multiply it by 100. Now, percentages, it's always out of 100%. It's not this 110%. Well, you gotta give 110% of your no, out of 100. Okay? Alright? Okay? So either way, you pick which way works for you. Okay? You pick which way works for you. Because you're going to be the one that's taking the test. So this is what I like to do. I like to teach it in different ways. Okay? But by breaking it down step by step, you can do it too. Alright? Now, this next one, it's going to require some thinking, so I'm not going to put the timer on this one. I'm going to walk you through. Okay? So take a look. Just by looking at this question, how do you feel? Just by looking at this question, how do you feel? So unknown multiple sevens, true, but when there's a person that hasn't seen this in a long time, they're not sure about how to do the division. They're already afraid of fractions, so that's why I try to break it down that way. Okay, but I appreciate you. All right. Hello, Miss Lewis. Tell me how you feel. Don't try to solve it. Tell me how you feel about this. Thank you, Miss Lewis. Nervous. Okay? When you see a problem like this, how are you feeling? Because that's important. Because a lot of you guys have been freaking out about word problems for as long as I can be on this app and teaching. Why do word problems make us nervous? Okay, JB, I see you. Thank you, Angela. Intimidated, okay? Can be intimidating. Fearful, yes. You're calm, good. All right. You notice everyone has a certain word. It's either people are solving because they know it, but what about the ones that are like, I'm just trying to pass this, or I need to pass this praxis because if I don't have a job next month. So everyone has their own stressor. But when you go into these tests, you can't carry that stress with you. Because just the smallest thing, you're like, oh, I don't know what that is, and you're ready to throw the test out. You can't. Okay? So we have to practice. We have to hone in and try to change our mindset a little bit. Okay? So, maybe we don't know how to start this. So let's take a look. So we got a food truck owner, and what we're looking for is right here. How many cups? Okay, so how many cups of coffee must be sold to break even? So first off, I know now what my variable is. My variable is going to be dealing with the cups of coffee. So I'm going to use X, right? So X is going to represent my cups of coffee. Now, we have two things going on here, just like any business. But here's another thing. A lot of people are not fluent with business. This is a word problem that usually most business people will handle because they're talking about two things. The first thing they're talking about is cost, and then the other one is talking about revenue. So right here, when they said with the revenue, they're selling each of those cups of coffee for $3. Okay? So I'm going to use R for my revenue. And if we're selling each cup for $3, that means it's going to be 3 times X. So I could just simply say 3X. Now, we got to deal with our cost. So what is our cost? Well, first, he buys a coffee machine. That cost him $450. All right? And each cup, what did it cost him? 50 cents to produce. So we're talking about, we started off with the $450. And what else cost him money? Well, 50 cents for each cup. So that means that'll be 0.50 times X. All right, here we go. All right. So when we take a look at these, they want to know when it's going to break even. Okay? We want to know when it's going to break even. So even means it's an even keel, right? It's the same on both sides. So couldn't we just have both of those equal to each other? So we have our 3X is going to equal 450 plus my 50 cents times each cup. Okay? All right. So now, we're going to solve this equation so we can focus all our attention here. So we have our variable on both sides of the equal sign. Now I want to say probably a good 86% of people usually get these wrong. Reason why? We need to put our x's on one side of the equal sign. It could be on the left, it could be on the right. That's going to be completely up to you. I prefer looking at which one is larger and I bring the other one to which one is larger. That's just me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the inverse of plus, which is minus. So I'm going to subtract that 50 cents x on both sides. These two will give me 0, but I don't need the placeholder because I still have this 450 that I can represent the right hand side. Okay, so $3 minus 50 cents, that's $2.50. And bringing down the x. Okay, all right, cover this up. All right, so now we have $2.50 x equals 450. I want to get x by itself. So what do? I do the opposite or the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So you have your 250 and your 250, not 250x. Because if you're bringing down the x, that means you're canceling the x's out as well. No, we want to keep the x and just bring that bad boy down. Okay, there you go. So we have the 450 over $2.50. But if you're doing division, remember, we don't really like to have decimals in our divisor. We usually like to add a couple zeros so it could be a whole number. So if I add a couple places to the denominator, which will give me 250, that means I'm adding a couple places to the numerator. So that means we're going to add 2 zeros. So now we have to figure out how many 250s can go into 450. That's 1. Okay. Which will give me my result of 2,000. And how many 250s can go into 2,000? That's 8. And then there was 1 0 remaining. How many 250s can go into 0? That's 0. So x equals 180. 180 what? Cups of coffee. Okay. All right. So that's what's happening. You took a word problem, translated it into an algebraic expression, okay? And remember, there's multiple ways of doing this, okay? There's multiple ways of doing this. I understand this way, but there's some others as well, okay? Waiting for delivery orders. That's cute. All right. So, when you're looking at word problems, don't treat it like a novel. Okay? Break it down step by step. So, this is how I break things down. Okay? Different concepts that we looked at. So, we looked at how to set up an equation from a word problem to algebraic, solving when the variable's on both sides of the equal sign so we can isolate our variable. For this one, we looked at the percentages, how to set it up from an expression, okay, from the question to an algebraic equation and then solve, looking at fractions, looking at decimals, turn into a percent. Okay. Then we looked at a triangle. We did Pythagorean theorem to find our missing side because we need the height, we needed the base, and divide by 2 in order to find the area of the triangle. Okay? Don't just say, oh, there's numbers. Oh, okay, let me Pythagorean theorem. The answer is 12 because 12 will definitely be one of those answers choices. Okay? All right. And then for this one, it was just working on dividing fractions. Okay? Keep, change, flip. And then we worked on simplifying ratios. Okay? Yes, I do every morning. 7:45, unless TikTok does something weird. When I tried to sign on, like the other day, it took me like a half an hour to get on. All right. And then lastly, which was our first problem that we did, was we worked on distance, rate, and time. Okay? So what I do is I come on live, hopefully give you a little bit more encouragement that you did before. Okay? A little more confidence that you had before. So you can actually say, you know what? I think I'm going to go after that GED. Or I think I am going to, you know what? I really want to go into the military. I think this lady is the one that can help me through it. Okay? So if you can't make the lives, I also have my alternatives. I created books that are definitely designed called Algebra at Your Pace, where you can actually just scan a QR code. Okay? Once you scan the QR code, you'll get video instructions on how to do all the things. This one is talking about solving. Okay? After you do some problems, you get some extra practice problems. There's tons, okay? Especially, yes. For the paraprofessional, yes. Because you guys are doing like the basics as well. All right? So you have all of this. So distributive property gives you that extra practice problems, combining like terms. So you get that extra practice. Looking at solving using the absolute values. Okay, so as you're doing all of these things, you get a quiz at the end of each of the books, right? But then at the very end, I give you some of the references. Okay, remember we were talking about a little bit with of. Of is multiplication. Certain words and certain phrases means certain operations. If your order of operations, thank you. If you're doing your order of operations, the US, you also have the international ones. We have the properties of exponents. If you don't remember your rules of integers, I have it all listed here for you. And in color. Okay? So you can get the books on the A, or you can go to the link in my bio and get the digital copy of this, which is $12.99 for one. Okay? But I also have some deals on there. Now, in addition to it, so you can get some extra practice with the solving, you have cards. Okay? You have all of these cards. Instead of just traditional old worksheets, which has like 50 to 75 questions on there and is already intimidating, now you can like either make copies of these, cut them out, and then you can solve. But these are what's called matching cards. You have the questions on one card and you have answers to see if you can match it up. Okay? So, and then again, I also give you an answer key for the cards. Alright? So all of this is listed in here. We start from the very beginning with integers, decimals, and exponents. Then the second one deals with more of the fractions, factors, ratios, proportions, and order of operations. Then, as I said, to solving equations. Then you have your linear equations, anything dealing with slope. Then you have your inequalities, your system of equations, your absolute values. This is like the foundation of a lot of exams. This is like your Algebra 1 components. Then I kick off once we get into 7 and 8. Then we got the factoring. Then you got the radical functions, the rational functions, all of the geometrics. So that's the mean, median, mode. We're doing all of those. So basically, this is what my whole system looks like. Okay. So then also we have, as I said, the statistics. You also have combination, permutation, all of that. So where can you find these? Plus, you also have video solutions of everything. If you go to my profile,
pattern recognition in Blur.
okay, so if you go to my profile, you should see a link that says Stan Store Math by Audrey. And you can take a look of all of my social media, even my YT account is here. But then I have a free math checkup. If you just want to check your skills, maybe there's certain things that you're like, oh, let me see if I really know how to do this. If you go on there and you're like, did some of it, you can basically text message me. Okay? You can send me an email if you want and take a picture of what you were working on, and I can take a look at it. No judgment, just giving you some information. Okay? If you're interested in tutoring, we can make a call, but then here's all my digital stuff. All of this, as soon as you make your payment, it will go right to your email. Okay? So we have a Math Confidence Starter, and with the Math Confidence Starter, this, you can give you like a general description. Brighten it up a bit. Okay? This, you'll get Volume 1, Volume 2, and a practice book. Okay? You gotta practice the way that you're going to test. Then I also give you a walkthrough of all the extra practice problems and the quiz that is in the books. So I walk you through step by step what the answers of those things are. So usually this is something nice for you to get started with. Again, you can read all about it, and if you like it, go ahead, continue on. But if you're like, yeah, I don't think that's the one I want, then you just hit your back arrow and you're right back at the store. Okay? So I'm not forcing you to go buy stuff. It's just everything is here for you. If you want the individual books, just keep going all the way down, and here is the individual books, the start of it. Okay? For the $12.99. Alright? So you take a scroll. If there's something that before you purchase and you have questions, please ask me. Please do that. I'd rather you ask a question or even make a statement like, I'm trying to get this. Can this really help me? Ask away. Okay? But if you want the physical books, if you come all the way down, here are my 2 practice books that I have. And these are the practice books with videos. If you come all the way down to the very bottom, I'm going to speed it up because I don't want you to get dizzy. This is where you can go if you want the physical books. Okay? You only can get it through the A. Alright? But again, physical books, I'm going to tell you, each of these books is $24.99. The reason why, I did it in color ink and the number of pages. So me personally, if you're like, you know what, I want to do it, but I want to do it more economically, I would do with the digital books, get a friend or someone that has a printer and print it out and put it inside of a binder. Boom, you have your own book. Okay? So, all kinds of options for you. Alright, so again, if you just go to my profile, go to where it says Stan Store Math by Audrey, and it will take you right to it. So you can either message me here on TikTok, or you can go with the email icon. Alright? Okay, everyone. So that will conclude today's. If you have any questions, if you need someone to give you a plan, or maybe you just want to talk things out and say, you know what, I want to take this test, but I don't know where to start. I'm not going to force my stuff on you. I rather, if you feel that there's another creator that you want to go to, please do that. And you're just coming to me for entertainment's sake, hey, that's fine. But I can tell you right here now, if you come to the YT, all of my lives, if you scroll down a little bit where it says TikTok Lives Uncut, give me some time for this one, but all of my lives are up and ready there. So you can see all of my replays, even the ones from yesterday. Okay? All right. So make sure you message me. Do it right now. Send me a message, send me a DM. Again, if you go to the profile, just send me a DM, and then we'll be able to break things down. And then just take a look at things. I'd rather you ask questions than you sit by yourself wondering, how am I going to do this? Okay? All right. All right, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to DM me. If you want to see the replay, you can go to my YT. Again, if you go to my Stand Store, you can go directly to my YT from here. Right here. And if you want to try some things out, go ahead, take that free math checkup. Let's see where you're at. Okay, see where you're at, see where you're going. Okay, all I ask is for an email. Am I going to bombard you with tons of emails? No, because I know you got a life and I'm trying to get a life. But right now, it's all about doing things for you guys. All right, so have an awesome day, and I will see you guys tomorrow again at 7:45 Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to break all this stuff down to you. All right, I think we're going to be working on more word problems. I think that's what's going to happen. All right, everyone, have a lovely day. Take care.